We are lucky to have some fantastic museums in the area. The Durham, Joslyn, and Omaha Children's Museum come to mind right away. But there are several others. Our next guest wants to add one more, the Omaha Transportation and Technical Museum. Craig Niedbalski is here to tell us about that concept. It's nice to meet you.
Thank you.
And thank you for bringing in some really cool items. I want to learn more about them, but first, your interest in historic technology. How did it start?
I've always been interested more in the older items. Even though I grew up in the 70s, I was never interested in the muscle cars. I wanted the older cars. And as I've been learning more about things that we've never been shown, there's just a huge number of pieces of technology that people don't even know about.
So this museum, what would it be like? If in your dreams, your goal, what would it be?
The total concept would be three-part project. One would be the history portion. Our motto is restore, or preserve, restore, recreate. So we would preserve items that already exist, restore piles of parts, and create items from piles, from just pictures that...
Of what they would have been.
Yes.
So you're going based, in that case, on photographs.
Some of them would be on photographs,
if
yes.
the items don't exist any longer. You also want it to be interactive, which I think is really key, especially for younger visitors to the museum.
Right.
Well, what do you give us a specific example of what that might look like?
Well, some of the projects we want to have in there is a community darkroom, recording studios, and trade shops. So if a person were to come in and see either the darkroom or, say, one of the old trade shops, they could come in and actually apprentice in there and make a career out of it.
That's cool. Well, it reminds me of Do Space on the other side of the spectrum at 72nd and Dodge, but what they're doing with technology today and kind of bringing some of that in even before it's mainstream, but still allowing the community to use it for whatever projects they have in mind. This morning I steamed my clothes, pulled a trigger, and hot air came out. A far cry from what they would have used. How long ago, Craig? When are these from?
These are all around 1920 era. Some of them are a little earlier. That one uses gasoline.
Oh my gosh.
This one uses camp stove gas.
How heavy is this?
They're about 6-7 pounds each.
God, could you imagine trying to, I guess you'd be fit. And then this one uses what?
That is a Coleman, so it uses Coleman stove gas.
Wow. It blows me. There must have been accidents galore with some of these devices.
There were.
Okay, and then this one?
This is the one that I just recently even learned about. When people had natural gas as their lighting in their house, they would connect a hose to the natural gas system, and this actually worked off of natural gas. So you had a fire in here from a natural gas source.
That just blows my mind. I was ironing my brother's clothes for 4-H camp back when we were kids with just a regular plug-in iron, and I still have a scar on my arm from that. So I'm thinking about this technology and how difficult it must have been and the accidents that would have been happening. Let's keep going here, Craig.
Okay, so all these cameras are pre-1920. This is one that was exported from Japan, and it uses paper instead of a negative or a glass plate. So when you take the picture, it develops a positive print on your paper.
Oh, cool.
This one is the smallest camera that Kodak made. It does use roll film, so you get a negative. This one is something I have not been able to find anything on, but it is what they call a magazine fed. It uses several plates of glass, and as you take the picture, you move this lever across, and one plate drops forward, and you take the next picture.
When was this?
This one would have been pre-20s.
And how long?
It could have even been before 1900.
But I think about something like this was relevant before the next thing came along.
Right.
Almost like today, where it's something, maybe not every 6 months, but the technology was moving quickly even back then. And then this piece too?
This one is, they called it a panorama. It's a panoramic Kodak, and the film is on an arch in the back. And when you take the picture, the lens actually rotates across the front of the picture.
And now,
so it shades across.
We've got our smartphones, everybody. And then typewriters. My grandmother had a couple. She was an English teacher and loved to write. And so I would always peck on her typewriters as a kid. And I always loved it. It was almost therapeutic in a way. But hers didn't look quite as old as these. What's the story?
Well, these two in front are actually toys.
Okay.
And you would rotate your dial.
Right.
It has a pad underneath to ink it, and then you would press it and you would get your type.
I love that as a toy. And then back here, were these used then?
Yes. This is a Bennett. It was released in about 1910. and as you would push the button, the mechanism would rotate a dial around here, and then it would press it to the plandum.
And this last model on the end?
This one actually was my grandfather's typewriter.
Oh.
So this was the later model of this particular typewriter because it has caps lock on both sides. The original one only had it on the
left side. This museum at this point, you are taking in donations,
Yes.
you are taking in items. So once you
Correct.
reach your goal, let's say that happens in 2016, then what?
Our first goal is $10,000 for advertising so that we could spread the word even further. And once we get enough money to where we can talk about a location, unfortunately, our third project, the third part of the museum is to allow smaller nonprofit corporations to bring conventions in, so we would need a fairly large piece of property.
Oh my gosh, you've got such a big dream here.
Yes, it's huge.
First things first, let's get you to that $10,000. Right now you're looking at the website. There's information there online about how donations can be made. Also, if you'd like to donate your time, you can. If you'd like to donate items to the museum, you can. But I think it's cool that we're talking about it before it opens and then to sort of see how all of this develops. Craig, it's nice to have you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming in
All right,
today.